Hello, everyone. Sleepy Reader here, coming at you with Sleepy Vlog 18.2. So, really, the third iteration of my Sleepy Vlog 18. At the end of Sleepy Vlog 18.1, I announced a little giveaway of a mystery box. Anyone who got to the end of the video would learn about it, the very end of the video. So it's a bit of a trick on my part because lots of people stop before the very ends of video. But that way, I figure it limits the numbers of people and hopefully gets a lot of people who are sort of my friends here because I just want to give away gifts. It's not a prize, a contest, or anything. I'd like to give gifts to everyone, but the practicalities of things. So I told people to write "It's a mystery" in the comments if they got to the end and they wanted to receive a mystery box, a mystery package of comic books. And I was going to just do the drawing tonight and nothing else, but I had a couple of other things on my mind. For one thing, I've got my Weird Science in Mylar now, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. I've also wanted to say a few more things about Batman Hush and about creators' rights, and maybe something else will pop into my mind. But I'll do the giveaway first, and if you're interested, you can stay on. There won't be any hidden prize at the end of this. I'll do that again, no doubt, pretty soon, but not tonight. Now it feels like the thing that I do. I mention at the end of a random vlog some contest. Or I keep calling it contests. I don't want to do contests. A gift giveaway. So, and that way I feel I don't have to worry about legality or anything. This literally is a gift to one of my friends. So I'll start with the gift giveaway. Let me tell you the people who left "It's a Mystery" in their comments, and many of the people cleverly included it in other comments they were making and added and fit "It's a Mystery" into what they wanted to say. So the last person before the cutoff, and I apologize, I also didn't announce a cutoff date. I've just randomly chosen now I'm ready to do the drawing. So I apologize to people who were too late. Anyhow, I got a number of people who I hadn't heard of or heard from before, or not very many times. And that's interesting to know that there's people out there watching all the way through who I haven't even been in communication with much before. So I've got Cody Lucas, whose name is new to me. Then JJ Spiros, whose name is not new to me. I've been watching his videos, and he's been watching my videos for a long time now. Relatively speaking, a long time. And a comic book mom, whose videos I've been watching since I started watching YouTube comic book community videos. I love a comic book mom. Not that I want to marry her or anything. She's taken. I love her videos and I love her reviews and everything. And she definitely was an inspiration to me to start doing them too. Nick Fusar, also a fairly new name to me. I might have seen one or two other comments from him. Jason Bonin, also very new to me. He's left some very interesting comments, though, very recently. Kevin Becker 525, very new to me. Flaming Jelly Beans is very new to me. Optimus Tron 001 is not new to me. He's a great guy on here. He does a lot of showing his comics, and he has a great collection, and he's obviously a really nice guy and a really smart guy. Oddfellow Thoughts, one of my all-time favorite reviewers on YouTube, and a great guy, which I can tell you that from personal experience. White James Brandon, another fantastically great guy, a great reviewer, a generous fellow, very smart. If you don't subscribe to him, I highly recommend it. Comic Book Crack, another great friend. Love his videos, very eclectic. You never know what he'll be doing next. And he hasn't been on for a little while. I assume he's still well. I know he's still watching because he's leaving comments. But I also know he's very busy. But he's definitely someone who I wish lived down the block from me so I could go out for a beer with him right now. Awesome loves Super Dyke, who I don't think does videos, but she's been commenting on my videos for a long time. I wonder if I follow you on Twitter under a different name. I'm not sure. Someone I follow on Twitter that I sort of suspect might be someone who would call themselves Awesome Loves Super Dyke. Then there's LaRasa, an incredibly great person on YouTube. Another person I'd love to have a beer with someday. Stroke Pilot, a cool person here who comments now and then on my videos. And then the Comic Book Lowdown, who he and I comment on each other's videos all the time. Smart guy, younger than I thought, but old in the right ways. A cool guy. So those are the people who are up for this particular mystery box. I in fact haven't totally decided what I'm putting in the mystery box. It depends on who wins. If it's someone I know, I will somewhat cater to what I think they might like. Or try not to give them stuff I think they already have. It's just going to be a random box of stuff. So I've got random.org here. It's set to choose a number between 1 and 15. I'm pressing Get Numbers. And the number is 14, which is Stroke Pilot. So that's my big winner for the night. I'm going to have to look and see if Stroke Pilot does videos. If he doesn't, I will make a video of everything I put in the box, maybe a packing up the box video, but then I won't post it until he's let me know that he's got the box and has opened it. So people will see what's in my mystery box for those who are curious. And if he does make videos, that would be way better to have him show them quickly if he wants. But I'll be in touch with Stroke Pilot, or he can PM me, and we'll get your address, and I'll put together a box. I'm thinking it's going to have around 30 or 40 comic books in it. We'll see what I put together. So that's that part of things. Many of you may have seen the video where I unpackaged a present or some winnings from some contests from R. Dowdy, which also included an unexpected present. Weird Science number 12 from 1952, from the legendary EC Comics, which is something, one of my kind of dream things to bucket list kind of things to start collecting. And Rob remembered me mentioning that, and he got me this just out of the generosity of his heart for just because he's a great guy. So this is my oldest comic book. It's in Mylar now. I feel great relief now that it's in the Mylar, and I don't know a lot about grading comics or anything, and I know you kind of grade Golden Age comics differently, but this seems to me in great shape for a comic book that is 61 years old, I believe, or 61 years old. So it's the pages are a bit yellow, and but everything looks great. The only kind of flaw is that the cover is a bit loose, and I hope that's not because of my daughter briefly grabbing it. But I think the cover was already loose. But it's fantastic. It's got 2 stories by Wally Wood, one of the all-time great artists, particularly for science fiction, and then a story drawn by Jack Kamen, who was another classic stalwart of the EC era. And then another major guy from the EC era, I believe, Joe Orlando. Yeah, who did a lot. I think he might have also been a writer. I'm not sure. But he did a lot of art for EC. Weird Science had 22 issues, but strangely it began with issue 12, but not this issue 12. Before that it was something like some kind of cowboy comic book. What was it called? Anyway, there was a cowboy comic book they were doing, and a Western comic book. And on issue number 12, they switched it over to Weird Science. And the reason why they didn't do number ones back then, if they didn't have to, is because of postal laws. After it was established as a steady periodical, then they got a better rate in mailing out, a better postage rate. So that's why I believe so many comics, like Journey into Mystery turning into Thor or whatever, they didn't back then go back and do a number one whenever they could, because it affected their postal rates. So what they did is they started on issue 12, and then a few issues later, I guess 5 issues in, they dropped down to issue number 5. And then from issue number 5, they numbered it back up to issue number 22, at which point it ceased publication. I think of this as late Golden Age. I don't know what the EC kind of era is technically classified as. I wouldn't think the Silver Age had quite begun yet, unless you want to call it Proto-Silver Age. But this is, the kind of comic book that was killed by the comic books code and by the whole kind of, not Red Scare, but the kind of Red Scare-like thinking that almost ended the comic book industry. And EC Comics were making comic books become more grown up. I'm sure lots of kids would, of course, enjoy this, but they would be the more sophisticated, smart, cool kids. So yeah, it's one of the best presents I've ever received from anyone. So right up there with my wife getting me the signed Conan. So a really incredible gift, and just because Rob felt like doing it. He'd be a great friend of mine without any gifts. And I don't think I can find a gift this good for him, but I hope to be his friend for a long time. So there's that, and then just kind of an addendum or whatever to the video I did about Hush, the Batman 12-issue series by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee that Sean Sean Riaz and I reviewed together. At the time, I'd only gotten from the library Hush Unwrapped, which was just the pencils, and now finally my hold on the library brought me the Hush Absolute Edition. I do actually plan to buy it in issues now that I found that I really like it. But it's kind of, after reading the version which was just Jim Lee's pencils, it's quite a shock to see it inked and colored. There's actually a penciled one there. The pencils actually felt more detailed than this colored inked version, and I don't think it's because the inker took out any of the detail. I mean, there's an incredible page of the Bat Cave and all the Bat cars and such, but a lot of times the colorist kind of now I'm not finding a good example, but the colorists kind of drop out some of the details. They don't make them disappear, but they make them kind of fade into the background. And I'm not finding that now. But even say there in this scene in the Bat Cave, it's kind of cool how the colorists do that, but it makes you realize less aware of all the work that the penciler put into it. I mean, the other thing is I do have this trouble with Jim Lee artwork that I tend to bounce off of it, and I bounced off of it less in the original pencils than I did. I find myself back to bouncing off of it a little bit, but I'm going to reread this whole thing because I really liked the series, and I just want to absorb it in this new form. So we'll see what I think about it. I think it's wonderful to have this incredibly high quality edition in hardback. These absolute editions are sweet. I mean, how many $100 comic books can I buy? But I might want to buy some absolutes. And then finally, I was listening to some other video. It was an extra video done by a comic book shop guy. And they were talking about the Gary Frederick case, which is now going back to court, the case where he claims to be the creator and to have legal rights to Ghostwriter. And I know that with Ghostwriter, there's a lot of argument about. Gary Frederick feels like he completely came up with it himself. I think Roy Thomas or someone else who was working with him as an editor said a bunch of us came up with the ideas, and Mike Plug, the original artist, I think Mike Plug was the original artist on it, feels he deserves some credit. But it's just amazing when you try to think of how to of all the kind of bizarreness of the creator issues in comic books. Because I was thinking, here's this company being sued very publicly for screwing over creators, at the same time that Neil Gaiman is bringing his creator-owned character, Angela, to the Marvel Universe. And he won that character in a lawsuit against one of the founders of Image Comic Books, Todd McFarlane. So, I mean, but most people are going to Image Comics if they want to own their characters. So it's very funny to just think about that, because Neil Gaiman, after having gone through a huge legal struggle to own his own character, is bringing that character into a universe of a comic book company that's known to not give creators rights at all. And I don't know the details at all of the Angela case. It seems to me that from what I can tell, Neil Gaiman created a character while briefly writing within Todd McFarlane's universe, and certainly I would think anything he creates there, a share of it should have been Todd McFarlane's. But apparently he felt Todd McFarlane screwed him over, so he went to court. I read in a book by Grant Morrison, which is partially a history of comics and partially his own personal history in comics, that during that early Image period, people like him and Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore were brought in by Todd McFarlane to write an issue or two. And the reason they did it was because Todd McFarlane gave them huge amounts of money. The way Grant Morrison put it, you could write 1 or 2 Image books at the time and then take the rest of the year off. You made so much money from the royalties on those, because they were selling, like 1 million copies a piece, and they had a very generous royalty deal. Again, that doesn't mean that Neil Gaiman wasn't right in feeling he was screwed over. But people working for Marvel probably make a lot less money and lose their rights. And from what I've read about Jack Kirby, the Kirby family is in huge struggles with Marvel Comics. They do get some royalties from reprints of DC work that Jack Kirby did. But Marvel doesn't give them a penny. And at least this was a few years ago that I read that, so things may have changed. but I assume they haven't. And Marvel has way more books with Jack Kirby art in them being published and reprinted all the time, and probably, steadily pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So it certainly would be classy of them to give the Kirby estate a little royalty, the way DC does. If DC is still doing that, maybe that was just under Paul Levitz when he was the editor-in-chief, because he was known to be very fair about things. So anyway, I was just thinking about how complex that is, because you have creators arguing amongst themselves on who created what, and you've got companies screwing people over. And Neil Gaiman seems to have always done pretty well by himself. He got a piece of the action on Sandman, even though he didn't create Sandman per se, although he obviously recreated Sandman. But he got an incredibly good deal out of DC, and I presume he's getting a good deal out of Marvel. He must be a very savvy negotiator, because back when he started Sandman, he was quite a young guy, pretty new to comics, and yet he managed to get all kinds of rights and privileges over that character and other characters that he created while at Vertigo. So yeah, that's just my final thought, that's kind of a funny twisting of events. In a way, people who really care about creators' rights shouldn't work on any Kirby creations at Marvel. And Gaiman, amongst other things, worked on a direct sequel of Kirby's Eternals, which was solely his creation. And I'm sure Kirby got no money from that, and I'm sure Neil Gaiman was paid handsomely to come over to Marvel and do a miniseries. So, everybody wants their own rights, but I suppose there probably are creators out there who refuse to work for Marvel and DC for that reason. I know that Chris Robertson left DC in protest, but he did work for DC for a while, and he must have already known, like when he worked on Superman or something, that there were people not getting their rights. But maybe there was a final straw for him, and he left. I'm sure, it's such a gray area that I don't blame anybody for working for Marvel or DC, but it's just funny watching all these battles over it. Okay, I can hear my own voice kind of fading away. Thanks to all of you who've reached the end of yet another vlog. Congratulations to Stroke Pilot for being the winner. Thanks for everyone who left their It's a Mystery comment. Sorry I can't give you all prizes. Maybe someday. I'm still get lottery tickets every now and then. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.